possible that a video lasting only 5 seconds, so brief it seems almost meaningless at first glance, actually contains layers of psychological, symbolic, and strategic meaning so deep that it shakes the emotions of millions of fans worldwide, while triggering serious speculation about the future dynamic between Taehyung and Jungkook. That question now hangs in the air, refusing to fade. Ever since the short clip began circulating widely and ignited intense discussion among ARMY. 5 seconds. Just 5 seconds. Yet, as with many major phenomena in modern pop culture history, a short duration does not equal a small impact. Quite the opposite. In the world of BTS, every movement, every glance, every distance created, even in the chaos of an airport, can transform into a symbol, a clue, and an endless source of analysis. The video shows Jungkook appearing alone. He is wearing a green camouflage cap that partially covers his hair, a black mask obscuring part of his face, and an oversized black leather jacket that sharpens his silhouette and amplifies his star aura. His chin is slightly raised, his steps light, and amid a sea of cameras and fan screams, he briefly raises his hand to flash a peace sign. The gesture looks casual, almost playful, as if he is fully aware that all eyes are on him and completely comfortable with it. More than that, he seems to be enjoying the moment. Fans' comments immediately flooded social media timelines. Many described his appearance as the attitude of someone who knows his new song is about to shake the world. Others read confidence in the way he walked, while some interpreted his calmness as a sign that he is in an exceptionally solid, prepared, and controlled phase of his career. Yet behind all the attention on Jungkook, another question emerged just as quickly and far more unsettling. Where was Taehyung? This is the moment when curiosity turned into collective unease. Not simply because Taehyung did not appear in the video. Technically, that alone could mean nothing but because of the context. For BTS and ARMY, the airport is not merely a transit space. It is an open stage, a symbolic arena where the members' togetherness is often clearly visible. Walking side by side, the almost non-existent distance between them, the subtle language of their body movements, these have long become a kind of silent language that fans understand without any official explanation. When Jungkook was seen alone, while Taehyung was reportedly in the same location yet separated, emotional reactions were inevitable. Was this a coincidence? A matter of logistics? Or was there another message, intentional or otherwise, being presented to the public? The questions only intensified as other short clips, filmed from different angles and times, began to surface. Some showed Taehyung walking along a different route, his expression far more closed off. No peace sign.
No light-hearted gesture.
Only quick steps and a serious, focused demeanor. The contrast created a powerful visual narrative, almost like two parallel storylines unfolding without ever intersecting. This is where ARMY's emotions were truly tested. For many fans, the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook is not just a professional collaboration. It has long been perceived as a symbol of closeness, trust, and emotional balance within the group. Any small shift in their dynamic feels enormous, as if it touches something deeply personal for fans who have followed BTS's journey for years. Does that physical distance reflect emotional distance? Or is it the opposite? A carefully planned strategy serving a purpose not yet revealed. Some pop culture observers have attempted to view the incident through a more academic lens. In studies of celebrity and public performativity, airports are often described as liminal spaces, transitional zones between the private and the public. What happens in such spaces is rarely entirely spontaneous. Every decision, from clothing to walking routes, may involve considerations of security, image, and narrative. If this is the case, then Taehyung and Jungkook's separation at the airport might not signal conflict at all, but rather a more complex image management strategy. Still, this theory does not fully calm fans' anxiety. One small detail continues to dominate discussions: Jungkook's expression. He looked too calm, too confident, too ready. And when someone appears like that, the public inevitably asks, ready for what? Speculation about a new music project quickly resurfaced. Some fans linked Jungkook's peace sign to rumors of an upcoming song or album. In this narrative, his airport appearance is read as a statement without words, a sign that he is standing in a moment of creative triumph. If that is true, then where does Taehyung fit into this story? Why wasn't he walking alongside Jungkook, as fans are so accustomed to seeing? These questions grow more emotional because BTS is not just a music group. They are a global phenomenon whose internal relationships have long been a source of inspiration and comfort for fans. Any hint of disharmony, no matter how small, feels like a threat to the larger narrative of friendship and solidarity they have represented for years. Yet there are also ARMY who choose to see another side of the story. They remind others that Taehyung and Jungkook are individuals, each with different rhythms, preferences, and needs. Walking separately at an airport does not automatically mean their relationship is strained. It could simply be a practical decision. Perhaps they were together earlier, or perhaps they would reunite later. From this perspective, 5 seconds of footage is far too short to support any major conclusion. Even so, the sheer scale of the reaction cannot be ignored. It reveals the strength of the emotional bond between BTS and their fans, and how sensitive the public is to even the smallest symbols appearing in public spaces. Those 5 seconds, in all their simplicity, have become a projection screen for hopes, fears, and collective imagination. What makes the situation even more intriguing is the absence of official clarification. There has been no statement.
No explanation.
This silence, rather than easing curiosity, only amplifies it. In digital culture, silence is often interpreted as an open space for speculation. And the longer that space remains unfilled, the wilder the interpretations become. Was this intentional? Did management realize that a short clip could create such a massive wave of attention? Or was it purely a coincidence that happened to be caught on camera? At this point, the story of the 5-second video is no longer just about who walked with whom at the airport. It has evolved into a reflection on how meaning is constructed in the age of social media, how fans collectively build narratives, and how shared emotions can be triggered by the smallest visual fragments. Taehyung and Jungkook, knowingly or not, stand at the center of that vortex of meaning. Every step they take is interpreted, every distance measured, every gesture dissected. For some, this is exhausting. For others, it is part of the allure of being a BTS fan, a deeply emotional journey filled with puzzles, surprises, and profound attachment. Perhaps, in the end, the video truly is trivial. Perhaps those 5 seconds were never meant to say anything at all. But in a world where small symbols can speak louder than lengthy statements, the possibility that it carries a certain meaning cannot be entirely dismissed. And as long as those questions remain unanswered, as long as Taehyung and Jungkook are not seen walking side by side in a way that soothes ARMY's hearts, that 5-second video will continue to be replayed, analyzed, and discussed. Not because of its duration, but because of the emotion it leaves behind. An emotion that makes many people ask, with equal parts hope and fear, was this just a small moment blown out of proportion, or the earliest clue of something far bigger and far more shocking? The intensity of that lingering question is precisely what keeps the discussion alive, spreading far beyond the original clip and evolving into something much larger than a fleeting airport moment. As hours turned into days, ARMY communities across platforms continued to dissect every frame, every shadow, every fraction of a second that might reveal something previously unnoticed. The 5-second video became less about what was clearly visible and more about what was missing, about the silence between movements, about the space where Taehyung should have been standing beside Jungkook. In many ways, this reaction reveals how deeply fans have been trained by years of shared history to read BTS not only as performers but as a living narrative. BTS has always been more than music releases and stage performances. Their journey has unfolded like an ongoing story, filled with chapters of struggle, unity, vulnerability, and growth. Because of that, fans do not consume isolated moments passively. They connect them to a broader emotional timeline, comparing the present to countless past instances where Taehyung and Jungkook walked together, laughed together, leaned into each other's presence almost instinctively. That is why the separation felt louder than any statement could have been. Silence can be deafening when expectations are deeply ingrained. Some fans revisited older airport footage, drawing comparisons that only heightened the emotional contrast. There were memories of times when Taehyung and Jungkook moved almost as one, their steps naturally aligned, their body language relaxed and familiar. Against that backdrop, the recent video appeared almost cinematic in its stark difference. Jungkook, confident and self-assured, commanding attention without effort. Taehyung, distant and unseen in that specific frame, existing more as an absence than a presence. The visual imbalance created a subtle tension that fans could feel, even if they struggled to articulate it emotionally. This tension tapped into a deeper fear that many fans rarely voice openly: the fear of change. BTS has entered a phase of their careers where individual identities are becoming more pronounced. Solo projects, personal artistic directions, and individual schedules have naturally shifted the group's public dynamic. While many fans celebrate this growth, moments like the airport video force a confrontation with an uncomfortable reality. That closeness can evolve, and that evolution does not always look the way fans expect it to. This is where the narrative becomes especially fragile. Some interpretations leaned toward anxiety, framing the separation as symbolic of emotional distance or unresolved tension. Others resisted that reading, arguing that projecting such conclusions onto a brief, contextless clip risks misunderstanding the artists entirely. The emotional divide among fans mirrored the visual divide in the video itself, creating parallel conversations that rarely intersected, much like Taehyung and Jungkook's separate paths through the airport. Yet, even among differing opinions, one shared sentiment remained consistent: concern. Whether rooted in fear, curiosity, or protective instinct, ARMY's reaction came from a place of deep emotional investment. That investment is precisely what makes BTS's smallest moments feel monumental. 5 seconds become 5 hours of discussion. A few steps taken alone become a symbolic crossroads. As the discourse continued, another layer of interpretation emerged, one that focused less on emotion and more on control. Jungkook's demeanor, relaxed, poised, visibly unbothered, suggested someone fully aware of his image and comfortable within it. That awareness itself became a clue for fans searching for meaning. If Jungkook knew he was being filmed, if he knew how his appearance would be interpreted, then perhaps his calmness was intentional. Perhaps it was meant to project stability, confidence, and readiness in a period of transition. In contrast, Taehyung's relative invisibility in that specific moment sparked a different set of assumptions. Some fans speculated that his separation could indicate a desire for privacy, a deliberate withdrawal from the spotlight at that time. Others wondered if it reflected differing emotional states, different priorities, or simply different ways of coping with constant public exposure. None of these interpretations could be confirmed, yet each one added another emotional thread to the growing tapestry of speculation. What made the situation even more emotionally charged was the absence of correction. No one stepped forward to say, "This means nothing." No casual reassurance appeared to quiet the storm. In the ecosystem of fandom, silence often feels like permission to imagine. And imagination, fueled by attachment, rarely remains neutral. Over time, the 5-second video began to symbolize something far more abstract: the uncertainty of the future. Not necessarily a dramatic rift or an impending conflict, but the quiet acknowledgement that things are changing. That BTS and the individuals within it are navigating paths that may not always align perfectly in public spaces, even if their bond remains intact behind the scenes. For many fans, this realization was bittersweet. There was pride in seeing Jungkook exude confidence and independence. There was admiration for Taehyung's consistent mystique and emotional depth. Yet there was also a longing for the familiar image of togetherness that once felt constant and reassuring. The airport, once a place of shared presence, became a stage for confronting that longing, and still, the video continued to circulate, refusing to fade into obscurity. Each replay carried a slightly different emotional weight depending on who was watching. For some, it was nothing more than a snapshot of two busy artists moving through a hectic schedule. For others, it was a quiet shock, a moment that lingered uncomfortably because it raised questions no one felt ready to answer. Perhaps that is the true reason why those 5 seconds mattered so much. Not because they revealed a concrete truth, but because they exposed how deeply fans care, how attentively they watch, and how powerfully they feel connected to the smallest details of Taehyung and Jungkook's lives. In that sense, the shock was not caused solely by the separation itself, but by what it stirred within the hearts of those watching. As days passed, and the initial shock softened into something more reflective, the conversation around the 5-second video began to mature, shifting from raw reaction to deeper contemplation. Fans were no longer just asking what happened in that moment, but why it resonated so strongly. Why did such a brief, almost mundane scene feel heavy with implication? Why did the absence of a familiar figure provoke more discussion than any dramatic gesture ever could? The answer, many began to realize, lay not in the video itself, but in the history carried into it. Taehyung and Jungkook are not blank slates to the public eye. Their shared past is rich with moments that fans have internalized, late-night conversations, quiet glances on stage, laughter caught off camera, and a sense of mutual grounding that felt authentic and unforced. Over time, those memories formed a collective expectation, an emotional baseline against which every new appearance is unconsciously measured. When the airport footage disrupted that baseline, even subtly, it created a kind of cognitive dissonance. Nothing overtly wrong had occurred, yet something felt off. Jungkook's visible ease contrasted sharply with the expectation of shared presence. Taehyung's separation, though not dramatic, felt narratively significant simply because it broke a pattern fans had grown accustomed to seeing. This is where the emotional weight truly deepened. The video forced fans to confront the idea that familiarity does not guarantee permanence in form. Relationships evolve. Expressions of closeness change. What once appeared constant may shift quietly, without announcement or explanation. For a fandom that has grown alongside BTS for years, that realization can feel unsettling, even if it is a natural part of growth. Some fans described a sense of quiet grief, not for a confirmed loss, but for a version of togetherness that might be transforming. Others spoke of acceptance, framing the moment as evidence of maturity rather than distance. They argued that true bonds do not require constant physical proximity, especially in a world where schedules, responsibilities, and personal growth demand flexibility. Yet even those voices of reassurance acknowledged the emotional complexity of the situation.